Okay, so this first poem is called Bournemouth Beach, which was written towards the end of the first lockdown on what was predicted to be the hottest weekend of the summer. And the government expected everybody to stay at home. And of course they didn't. Everybody flocked to Bournemouth Beach and left all the rubbish there. The weather was glorious. So we set off for Bournemouth. We took the dog and a pack-up and a little tent for the kids we could sling afterwards because we had no intention of taking it home with us. It was already full when we got there, but we managed to find a space to share. It was obvious no one had been listening to the government advice on social distancing. I reckon it's safe enough. I hope it's safe enough. We left all our rubbish on Bournemouth Beach, including the tent and the shop-bought quiche and all the wrappers from all the sweets we carelessly dropped on Bournemouth Beach. Everybody else was doing it, so we thought, blow it. And frankly, at one point, I was tempted to leave the kids as well, because between you and me, it had been absolute hell. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. For example, guess which way the wind blew when the family next to us lit their barbecue. Then the dad started whistling. That horrible, thin, meaningless whistling. I didn't like the look of him. The kids clocked the barbecue. Where's our barbecue? Why haven't we got a barbecue? We want a barbecue. We want a barbecue. Boo-hoo. You know when you just want to. It was downhill all the way for the rest of the day. Can I have, please? Oh, Mum, Dad, don't be mean, please. I allowed them to break me down in stages. Well, it was the first day out in ages. They got all sorts. Candy floss, toffee apples, chips. Blooming kids. Expect they'll be sick. To top it all, we got something we didn't need. Something nobody needs. Our Kylie disappeared. Our daughter disappeared. 1 second she was there and the next she'd gone. I was mad and frantic all in one. My imagination running wild. Has anyone seen my child? I heard myself screaming, has anyone seen my child? Has anyone seen my child? I've never been so frightened in my entire life. I created a massive scene when she came back carrying a huge ice cream and holding the hand of the whistling man. Josh didn't understand. He was only 10. You can't ever take your eyes off him. So yeah, we left all our rubbish on the beach at Bournemouth. We counted ourselves lucky to take our kids home with us. I should really go back and help clear it up. To be fair, they should make us clear it up. We should appreciate what we've got. We should better appreciate what we've got, like our families and our beaches.
Okay. Thank you. I've got a few poems here to read from my collection, including my latest poem here in the UK, which was published recently on the Holder's Heartbeat. So here we go, here in the UK. COVID permitting this year, we're taking our holidays here. Every year we've been going abroad. For 35 years, to be clear. When we last holidayed here, Maggie Thatcher was in number 10. TikTok was the noise of a clock, and Amazon was a rainforest then. When we last holidayed here, a web was a spider's design. Virtual was almost not quite. Online meant peg out when fine. When we last holidayed here, YouTube was a bend in the loo. Cookies were biscuits to eat. And Twitter, what noisy birds do. When we last holidayed here, shopping selections were fine. We had BHS, Hammonds and Debs. Now everything's purchased online. So we're holidaying here this year, an excursion down memory lane, to the places we went with the kids. I wonder if they'll be the same. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Does anybody remember when the mums used to wash their hair with Daz? Just me. When I was a child, my mum used to wash our hair with Daz religiously once a week, every Sunday morning. 3 little lads in an old tin bath like new potatoes covered in mud. Scrubbed with a scrubbing brush in the name of love. Trying to escape like terrified pups from the toxic bath she created with a packet of Daz. Ingredients: anionic surfactants, non-ionic surfactants, benzothioethylene, sodium triphosphate, perfumes, man we stink. Enzymes, bleach, our eyes were brown and now they were blue. Our heads on fire, burning beneath the napalm, Vietnam, Daz. And then to rinse, the water was cold, we had no hot. The lecky cost a bomb. Dad's suit was in the pawn shop with the rising bread and the starving cat. We lived on dripping dumplings and stew. To rinse, she just took us under like sheep in a dip. Sometimes for too long. I think she thought it was fun. I dream of it still. Nightmares of the walking dead, but the packets of Daz. I spend nights in episodes of Doctor Who hiding in the pantry with a dying cat. We will cleanse you. And for days our skins were toxic and glowed in the dark like mutants from Mars. But the fleas were frightened to bite until Friday. 2 days ago and I can't run away, but if a circus passed by, I would. Then after the bath, she'd kneel us down between her legs and comb away our nits and lice and squeeze them between her fingernails. Saves them right, because them little can bite. Then we were free for the day. Don't get mucky, stay away from the browns. Their dad's a disease. Their house has got long tails and fleas. The mum sells a duck on ships and in Leeds. We only got chicken. And don't bring the police to the door. I've told you before. Oh, it's bed with no telly, jelly and custard, Pinky and Perky, Tinker and Tucker. The goons. Be good little... Some days we'd starve until Monday. Discipline inherent in all wife's DNA. Not spitefulness, no way. If mums didn't love you zillions, why would they say it? Why would they wash you in Daz? Why would they hold you tight when you're a man, you're over 6 foot tall, you're supposed to be strong, but you're not? You're grieving over losing dad, the divorce, the crying kids. You're lost and alone. We need a washing powder for this Mother Earth, this big muddy new potato. Ingredients, understanding and love. Wash it clean of our intolerant sins, the fear of each other, the colour of skin. Make it bright as a newborn child. Put the glimmer of hope back in our eyes. Brothers and sisters in it together, you see. Because at times we all need a hug. And someone that loves you enough to wash you in Daz. Thank you.
And the next one is also to do with COVID. It's called Empty Buses. To me, one of the saddest sights has been all the empty buses. I saw 6 in a row in Hull. Not one person on them, only the driver. Empty buses with forlorn drivers are a sad reflection of the coronavirus, taking their time, travelling so slow. There's no one on board and nowhere to go. Nowhere is open, not a pub, not a shop. Everybody just wants it to stop. The boredom is awful, mind-numbing, crippling. I'm usually positive, but my focus is drifting. Back to the days when the buses were full, back to the days which seem long ago, back to the days I could go where I liked, flashing my bus pass by day and by night. Then the other day, I saw a sight for sore eyes. It caused my spirits to lift and my heart to rise. The 63 bus was heading for Hull, chock full of pensioners, out on the pull. The blokes looked smart in their suits, shirts and ties. Most had remembered to do up the flies. The ladies, too, had made an effort, lipstick coiffured and eyebrows threaded. They were laughing themselves silly at being let loose. Their language were filthy, their behaviour was crude. They had no inhibitions, they let themselves go. I'll swear my Aunt Lily was on the back row with that Arthur Jackson whom she'd always fancied, and now she decided to take her chances. Well, good for Aunt Lily and for Jackson as well, but maybe next time they should get a hotel. I guess it's important to enjoy what we've got because time could run out before we've written the plot. Images of those buses are imprinted on my brain, a reminder of a time I hope I never see again. And as for Aunt Lily and that Arthur Jackson, it transpired they'd been a long-standing attraction. They planned to get wed aboard that East Riding bus with champagne and bridesmaids, top hats and stuff. I've been asked to attend as a matron of honour, and I will, because the best man is Terry O'Connor. And I reckon if I'm lucky, I'll play my cards right, that Terry O'Connor could be mine for the night. So let's climb aboard the 63 bus, for we never can tell what's ahead of us. Empty buses, unlikely romance. We only live once, so let's take a chance. We should follow the example of Lily and Jackson, make the most of what we've got, and grab ourselves some action. For if we've learned anything from COVID at all, it's that life can be hard and too blooming short.
My next poem is called Waterworks. Now, this was written in memory, really, of my last dog, Hedon, who was a beautiful black greyhound. We had him for 7 years, but unfortunately, his age caught up with him, and he's now gone to that racetrack in the sky. So this is called Waterworks. Waterworks being, I suppose, a men's problem. But anyway, here we go, Waterworks. Vet said to get a sample. That's easier said than done. Must be his prostate gland that gets him on the run. Get it first thing in the morning, so the vet instructed me. So, jug in hand, I chased him round, but he wouldn't do a pee. I don't know what the neighbours thought. I felt a proper clown, chasing Hedon round the garden in my floral dressing gown. My sleep gets interrupted so often in the night in getting up to let him out until the morning light. I'm tired of being woken up, so Hedon, please, for me, whilst I've got this jug in hand, lift your leg and do a pee.
Any Hull FC supporters in? Any Hull KR supporters in? Anybody believe in love at first sight? Well, there's a poem about rugby league and love at first sight. She was a girl on a train just passing by, and still she's driving me mad. Because when I'm all alone, she's always on my mind, like the tap-tap beat of a circular wheel on a revolving track. I was young and naive with my head in the clouds when a train rolled in and stopped. Saturday, May the 3rd, 1 p.m, Russell Square, 1980. The Rugby League Challenge Cup final. 95,000 supporters. Only the burglars stayed at home, along with the Rod Stewart lookalike lovers of the poor Wembley widows out on the Raz. February 81 would see a surging burst of skinny kids with skinny bums, whose first two words would be the names of two prime ministers, Maggie May. It was a time of kipper ties and turned up flares, and I looked on, smelling of high karate, old spice and brut. Scents that could keep the knickers on girls and strip the lead off roofs. The 80s had arrived, Blondie, Atomic, Queen, a little thing called Love, Adam Ann, ABBA, Dallas, Love Boat, The Elephant Man, and a beautiful girl on a train that just rolled in. As I stood on a platform in the belly of the earth going underground, breathing in the dusty skins of every nation. And she looked and she smiled, and I smiled. Forgetting all my half-baked dreams of following heroes, now the world stood still, and we were alone in that moment. Saturday, May the 3rd, 1 p.m, Russell Square, 1980. The day a train rolled in, but then a train rolled out. But that night, I forgot about that girl. Hull Kingston Rovers 10, Hull FC 5. Drunk on bragging rights with the older men who could drink better than me, and they did, as they egged me on to dance with the big bird in the corner, who was taller and broader than me with a squarer chin. Oh, I kissed on the lips in the alley. And she undid the zip to me flares, and I put my hand up her skirt to find meat and two veg. That was turning al dente. I tried to push her away, but her hands were like ferrets on speed. Oh, watch what you're doing, because I do kung fu. I'm a Shaolin master, and if you don't watch what you're doing, I'm going to do it on you. And she rubbed my hair, and he laughed. And I laughed now, because even then, she could spell LGBT, and he knew the meaning of lol. So I walked off in the night to spew on my shoes and spew on my shoes again, as the world refused to stand still, as it spun and it spun and it spun and it swilled and it swilled and it swilled and it banged with beer on brain. Until I sat on the bench and I thought of the girl on the train. And even now, when I'm all alone, I wonder what she's doing. Is she happy? Is she well? Does she remember me, the silly kid with the silly grin? And the day she opened my eyes when the train rolled in? Does she know that she reminds me of the girl I wed? August 12th, 2 p.m, 1990. I bought a one-way ticket with no return. I wonder what she's doing now. Is she happy? Is she well? Does she remember that I used to have a silly grin? Does she know that I still hear her heartbeat on a platform by the side of my bed? Thank you.
So I'll just do a couple of others that are older. And this one's about the charity bags you get through the door, and this is called Modern Day Vultures. 1, 2, 3, 4, their begging bags drop through my door. 5, 6, 7, 8, their volunteers march through my gate. Dreams come true, Tree of Hope, Cancer Research, Mind and Scope, RBL, Age UK, please donate your goods today. So I bagged them up my stuff. In fact, I gave them far too much. My shoes, my clothes, my pop CDs, my children's toys and DVDs. The next time I popped into town, I wandered in to browse around. I heard myself exclaiming, look at this, it's just my size. Fancy giving this away. And then I realised, it's mine. The manager of this charity shop was casually sporting one of my tops, and as if to add insult to injury, it looked better on her than it had on me. Another assistant was wearing my skirt. She'd teamed it up with my husband's shirt. A trainee with piercings and gruesome tattoos was strutting her stuff in my cowboy boots and my wedding hat, which had cost a bomb. She wore a top with great aplomb. Oh, yes, I could go on. I was most impressed with the way they dressed in what used to be mine. Suddenly, I flew into a rage with a tattooed girl, barely half my age, waltzing around like she owned the place in my hat and boots with a smile on her face. I took no prisoners, I let her have it. You've taken advantage of my spending habit. The lot of you are modern-day vultures, profiteering from the consumer culture, and to think I donated my stuff for free. Not only that, but willingly. And I wept for what used to be mine. The manager took it all in her stride, to put her arm around me, took me aside, said, my dear, it's a perk of the job to get designer gear for just a few bob. And please don't repeat this conversation, but we fought like cats over your donation. And if you could see him, I think you'd agree. My husband looks good in your lingerie. Weakly, I breathed, but it used to be mine. Eventually, I took my leave with an armful of stuff I didn't need and the offer of a job. I start next week.
My third poem, another one from my collection, and this is thinking back to my childhood days when we had some lovely days at the seaside, and all days were sunny then when we went to the seaside. So this is called Nostalgia. In nostalgic recollection of school holidays long ago, those 1950s summer days, fond memories to show. Away days on an EY bus, dome-topped for Beverley Bar, to Hornsey, Brid or Withensea. We couldn't afford a car. Through sleepy rustic villages, the hinterland of Holderness. Haystacks, hedgerows, empty roads. That much has changed, no less. The excitement of arriving, a windy changing on the beach, in mother's old bath towel, where the water's out of reach. Racing to the North Sea's edge, skirting round the donkey-do, and the stones that hurt the feet, and the slimy seaweed too. Dip a bucket in the rock pools, see the tide's leavings behind, a starfish or a limpet, or a periwinkle so to find. Going home in sandy sandals, lengthened shadows, setting sun. Happy with a stick of rock and a summer day well done. A childhood joy in simple things. Life seemed straightforward then. Before the adolescent years, then never quite the same again. Thank you.
When you look at the news, what do you see? Poverty, starvation, war. The rusted faces of homeless people fleeing the sea. Drowning beneath their shipwrecked dreams, babes washed up on shores, like old sailors' bottles with their messages unread. Consequences of political lies, homelands burning under oil-blackened skies, the earth on fire consumed in greed. This isn't humanity how the earth should be. And enough is enough, and it's bothering me. So don't get me going. On Middle East conflicts, East Timor, Ukraine, Iran, the miracles of Mother Teresa, cholera, famine, Jesus, Mohammed, the deaths in Sudan. The third world, corporate greed, a new world order, the plight of man. Red Road rivers breaching dams. Corpse after corpse queuing for gods like beggars for bread. Because enough is enough and it's bothering me. It's passion that does it, an individual thing, a burden, a chore, a voice, voices in my head. A brick in a pillow, an unsprung bed. But I'm screaming at little junkies, sycophantic flunkies, religious relics, mammoths in ice, day-to-day preachers that aren't very nice. It's shafters up the jacksie, full to the rim, propaganda full to the brim. And enough is enough and it's bothering me. But I won't buy a new bed and a quilt full of fluff. Join in the party, wear rose-tinted glasses. Put a tick in a box to perpetuate the stealing of dreams that most have buried and the rest have forgot. Drunk on lies like ants on molasses. Because I've cried 1,000 times in this world of pain. For mankind, relationships and love. And I've come to know that life is just a passing glance, a single breath. It trickles and falls from a fickle grasp, like sand in your hand. Yes, I know at times it sticks like tar in the dark of night when the skies are sealing a coal and you're digging down with nowhere to go. It hangs on tight to your mortal soul. Why? Because you and only you know the way home. So do you want to be just a tick in a box, a fist in the middle, an hat-wearing poet, an imprisoned old lag, a number on a roll call, John Doe in a dead man's bag, blind as a bat but knowing you knew it, as deaf as a stone that once was a rock amongst rocks, or together dancing in love, even if our record is old and it's scratched, and the floor is a mess and we stick to the spot and we stare, and we touch and we hold and we share it all. The struggles, the worries, the ups and the downs, the day and the night, the scent of the air. Each tick of the clock, each moment that's there, each other. Our breath, the warmth of our wishes, the dreams of tomorrow, the taste of our kisses and more. The sheltering sky, the air that we breathe for each and for all, for you and for me. In spite of division, because we are better than that. And each child has a picture of hope inside. And I have a dream. You have a dream. We have a dream. But my, how it's bothering me. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll do one more. This is one I wrote because I wanted to compare the English language, which I think is an amazing language, with another language, and eventually I compared it with the French language, and this is called pardon or pardon. The French take their language seriously, and in my opinion, too preciously. They're scared foreign words may affect a revolution. They've got rules about it in their constitution. The English, on the other hand, don't have those inhibitions. We embrace the use of language from whatever originations. Why? You can't turn around without a foreign phrase comes creeping into play. It doesn't cause a contretemps by using civil play. Yes, the English language, it makes me smile. It's in a class of its own when it comes to style. It has a certain je ne sais quoi. You know what I mean. Comme ci, comme ça. We're all au fait with dossiers, chaises longues et cul-de-sac. Les objets dans le nouveau riche ennui et dans le sac. We know the meaning of bon voyage, en route et rendezvous. Of concierge, excusez-moi, ou la-di-da chez nous. We have tête-à-tête over plat de jour. We saute our spuds, we're haute couture. We're chic, à la mode, apéritif, un glace de vin, bon appétit. Pour dessert, une crème brûlée, Madame désire une crêpe flambée. Voulez-vous café au lait? Monsieur préfère Grand Marnier. Well, I think the French would be more blasé. They should relaxez-vous. If they'd increase their repertoire, they'd less confuse on nous. Oh, language is extraordinaire, mais oui, 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 mais au contraire, vive l'Angleterre, vive la France, et viva, viva la différence.
And my last poem is called Summer Sounds. This was prompted by where I lived when I first moved to Hedon, which was down Maple Park, and the house backed onto the Hull to Withensea rail trail. And I always remember the noises that used to be heard, especially at night. So this is called Summer Sounds. Beeching's decimation of the rail had left a leafy woodland trail. Once the branch line to the sticks took folks to With for 2 and 6. That passes close beside our home, a rustic byway free to roam, from dog walking and country hikers to naughty, noisy motorbikers. Hawthorn trees each side abound, where finches chirp their merry sound, and the crow with raucous caw that wakes me up at 4:30. And sometimes, when the air is still, a song thrush gives melodious trill, with blackbirds' coats of velvet black calling out with chink and jack. And then at night, when half awake, when sounds are easy to mistake, other than a plaintive hoo from tawny owl, how do you do? A sound far off upon the air, or perhaps it isn't there. The rhythm of a ghostly train, or maybe hearing things again. Thank you.
This poem is about a famous poet, Sylvia Plath, and it's based on the reading of birthday letters and other research I've done. And they call it 12 pennies for a pill doll. 12 pennies make a shilling. Shilling in the slot. People understand the Sylvia Plath story will know that. The cold gristle between your teeth is the taste of old flesh, stuck in your craw, stale. Stale as an old maid's womb. Bittersweet is the spit that drips from a traitor's tongue. Yet you are not yet it. Yet you have done for me. And nothing will rise from this ash, this bed unmade, strewn with hollow words, stained by loveless lust, a shroud. So I will end this thing. Put my head old and broken in the tin that bakes the bread, and they will make biscuits and share. Tell tales of their gossip, worship words they cannot find, and we will be gods in heaven. You will burn in my fame, a giant amongst men, and I will bear each and every cut for each and every one that knows this pain of the imageless mirror, the shadow that walks within, numbness that occupies the soul and mortifies the grave. So be done. I've had it with the rattle of your kiss, the stench of your last appointment. Your love is old, like black ink on beer mats. So be done. Be done. Turn up the electrics, dim all the bulbs, singe all my scars and kill all the gulls. You see, the trouble with life is living. The trouble with death is dying. The trouble with love is forgiving, and the trouble with tears is crying. I was never on the inside looking out, always on the outside looking in, never shedding skins to cast away, growing others day by day, a torment in a pale doll, man-made and made dissectable. Lipstick made me conscious, knickers made me itch and sweat. Her total nakedness was honesty, and yet no tea or sympathy when the glaze is scratched to flesh. 20, 30, 40 strokes of the whip. Opening doors of lunacy, they bet. Then critique and praise in loud applause in 7 syllables. Contact you with distance. Put you in a jar. Look at you through windows, not knowing who you are. But too soon the window was a wall. The wall had no windows. The window had always been a wall. And the mighty vulture rests his roosting in my nest, dreaming nightmares at their best, side walking, strangers talking. Shh, shh, they're here, they're here. Tiptoeing to and fro, mixed up everything's midsummer madness mixed with snow. And in a garden far away lays a bird with broken wings, too far to fly, too sad to sing. A fox pulled up with a tearful eye. Too many maggots to bake his pie. So why be careful? This sweet virgin's dead already, laid out in the knacker's yard, legs out wide, akimbo, man's rust inside, sore and flaking. Enough for this fair lady of Shalott. Milk and biscuits on the table for my children. 12 pennies in my hand for the lipless mouth whose hollow cling will carry me away, away, away. The gas circles the room like an old record playing over and over and over again. Away, away, away. Poor Princess Floribunda, brighter than the sun she dances under, left the world in all asunder, crying like a child, louder than thunder. Thank you.